Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. We have an article from Salon today, folks, and it actually looks like Salon. I know, this is going to come as a shock to a lot of you, but it actually looks like Salon wrote a competent article for once. An article where it looks like they're going to put ABC on blast. And that is welcome, because nobody, and I mean nobody besides us independent content creators and independent journalists, have put these people on blast. ABC has completely gotten away with their squashing of the Jeffrey Epstein story, and nobody is bringing up the relationship with George Stephanopoulos, ABC's number one gun, and Jeffrey Epstein. Why is that? Why is George Stephanopoulos being provided protection? Why is nobody going after George Stephanopoulos? Why is he not quoted in every single article like some of these other men? Well, I'll tell you why. Because he is a very powerful newsman, and not only that, remember where he comes from. He is from the Clinton camp, and the Clintons have this shroud of protection over them still for some reason in the American media. The American media refuses to do the hard work and ask the hard questions because they do not want to lose their access to these powerful people. And that is why ABC ultimately killed this interview. They didn't want to lose their access to the dumbass royals. So instead, they told Virginia Roberts to go ahead and just pound sand. Nobody gives a shit about you, basically. We don't care about your story. Nobody cares about Jeffrey Epstein. Why don't you just beat it? We don't care about helping you. You're a liar. That's basically what they were telling her. Meanwhile, they have George Stephanopoulos on there every single night, shouting down his platitudes from his ivory tower while he's overplaying tap ass with Jeffrey Epstein in his house. I mean, come on, folks, really? You don't see the problem there? You don't see the problem, the conflict with George Stephanopoulos at ABC being such good friends with Epstein and them killing this story? I haven't given this enough attention. I haven't focused enough on this story, but it's very important. This is a very important turn of events in this case. Just look at the way the English media is treating this story, and then look at the way the American media is treating this story. And then ask yourself, how can these so-called high-profile journalists rest their head on their pillow at night knowing that they covered up for this monster for this long, that they wrote puff pieces for this monster, that they made, like Vanity Fair made the author of the article in their story, I think her name was Vicky Ward, get out a whole bunch of stuff about him being a molester. Why is that happening? They don't do that for anybody else. They certainly don't do that for their political opponents, people that they supposedly dislike politically. But yet, when it comes to this guy, Jeffrey Epstein, and his associates, he is absolutely and utterly bulletproof in the American media. Well, that ends today. That's done. That is absolutely and positively done. I cannot wait. Listen to me, folks. I cannot wait for all of the cards to fall, because all of these people that think they're going to get by are not going to get by. And I'm going to be sure of that. I'm going to be sure that we talk about all of these scumbags on this podcast on a regular basis. And that's these flashback articles that we're going to be doing each day are going to be hugely important for us to tie the threads up in this case. So, again, I thank all of you for your support. You guys riding with me from the very beginning. I don't even know what to say, honestly. I honestly do not even know what to say about all of you. The emails I get, it's just amazing. You people are absolutely amazing, and I'm so happy to be part of this community that we're building. I am so happy to be here standing shoulder to shoulder with all of you and all of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, because at the end of the day, we have to keep that, the main thing in perspective is justice for these victims. All the other stuff is good, and we need to obviously talk about it, but the focus of this podcast is justice for these victims. And I read a couple of comments on iTunes of people talking about how I should, one person was saying how I should read the stories before I disseminate the information. And nope. If you want packaged and you want all clipped up production, and there's plenty of other places to go, folks. That's not what I'm doing here. This is guerrilla journalism. You know, like freestyle hip hop? That's what this is. This is freestyle journalism. I don't need to have all of that show prep. I don't need to have all of that BS. Do you know why, folks? Because I'm coming from the heart. I'm talking to you about how I truly feel. I am talking to you about how this case impacts me on a daily basis as I read these articles. I'm not here to package myself as something I'm not. This is who I am. This is who I am. I'm not some Harvard-trained journalist. I'm not some jerk-off from Yale. I'm not some bobbing moron from Cornell. I was born in the Bronx, New York. I lived the first 10 years of my life in the South Bronx and South Yonkers, and then I moved to Las Vegas, and I grew up on the east side of Las Vegas. So that's what you get in each one of these podcasts. You get exactly who I am. There's no script, there's no packaging, there's no practicing. This is all freestyle from the top of the head. And that's the end of it. I understand that's it's not for everybody. That's cool. Look, I'm glad that you popped in and you checked out the podcast. I'm sorry that it wasn't for you. But if anybody thinks that the format is changing around here, or that I'm going to change the way I am, or try and package myself as more of a mainstream package, that shit is not going to occur. That is not who your boy is. I'm not coming at this as one of these regular journalists who's looking for access. I'm coming at this to scorch the earth. After this story is over, if I never get access to any of these people and I have to really work hard to build scoops on my own and build my own sources, that's completely fine with me. I don't want help from the corporate media. I don't want help from these politicians. I don't want access to them. They are not my friends. None of these people are my friends. None of these people are my people. You are my people. You are my tribe. These people, though, I don't care about access to them. My job is not to be friendly with them. My job is to expose corruption. As a journalist, that is my job. That is what you expect of me. And at the end of the day, you people out there listening to this podcast, what you expect of me is where I'm going, because I have a responsibility to you, my audience, not anybody else. So if it's packaged and, all of that stuff that you're looking for, I'm sorry, but that is not what we're doing around here. Not now. This case is there's too much going on for me to sit around and edit things and go crazy with post-production. Nope, we're going to disseminate the information. We're going to get it out to the masses, and then you guys are going to do what you do best. You're going to share it with your friends. You're going to share it with other people, and you're going to keep the story alive on your end. You're going to do your part, and I'm going to do my part with my big, fat, inner city mouth running and yapping, folks. All right? So for those of you who haven't commented and reviewed the show on iTunes, please do that. Go there and leave some reviews, because we all know about algorithms, right? And if you like the show, hey, leave a review. Let everybody know. If you don't like the show, that's cool too. I'm sure it's not for everybody. I understand this is a divisive topic, and I'm a bit abrasive. I get it. Look, I understand my role in life. I'm the guy that walks into a room and I say what everybody else is thinking. That's always been who I am. And it's uncomfortable for people sometimes, but that's just how I am. That is my personality. That is how I was raised. And that's how I'm going to bring you the news. That's how I perform my job as a journalist. And to those, to people, some people don't want to deal with that. Some people want that mainstream media packaged. Here you go. We're going to blow smoke up your ass kind of deal. That is never going to occur here, folks. I am, as you all know, I am a little bit different than Jake Tapper. I am a little bit different than Don Lemon. And I am not your average journalist. I'll show up in a pair of Chuck Taylors, some camouflage cutoff shorts, a Rancid t-shirt, and a hat on backwards demanding questions. I'm not wearing a suit to appease anybody. None of that nonsense, all right? I do what I want, and I live my life the way I want to live it. And that's just the end of it. And especially when it comes to this show is going to go the way I want it to go. This show is going to go the way my loyal audience wants it to go. The only people I care about, folks, the only people's opinions I care about when it comes to this show are you folks that are listening. Everybody else, that's just background noise. It's just white noise. And of course, I will always listen to constructive criticism because I want to be better. I don't have all the answers. Like I said, I'm not a trained journalist. My field of study was political science. I'm not some kind of professional, speaker or any of that stuff. I'm just some dude from the east side of Las Vegas who is pissed off and who has had enough. So if you would like to contact me, you can do that at Bobbycapucci at protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. And like I said, go to iTunes or wherever you get your podcast and leave some reviews, leave a couple of ratings, because it does help with the algorithm for sure. All right, so let's jump into this article. Salon. Headline: ABC News had the goods on Jeffrey Epstein years ago and killed the story. Multi-millionaire predator Jeffrey Epstein died in suspicious circumstances at a Manhattan correctional facility on August 10th. The wealthy and powerful New York financier, pedophile, a convicted sex offender, stands accused by dozens of women and girls for trafficking, rape, and sexual abuse. He was an enormously influential and well-connected man who counted as friends billionaire business owners, Hollywood stars, British royals, and even top media figures like Katie Couric and Charlie Rose. And George Stephanopoulos. And Mike Wallace. With some of his associates falling under suspicion of condoning or even participating in a pedophile ring. I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy, said fellow tycoon Donald Trump in 2002, adding, "It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." Former President Bill Clinton was also close with Epstein. I guess I'll add a little bit to that since it wasn't necessary to elaborate. Clinton was on the plane over 26 times. Clinton was seen on the island. Clinton was in Zorro Ranch, according to people. Okay, can we elaborate a little bit? Epstein's crimes shocked the public, and his arrest, trial, and mysterious death were major stories for much of 2019. But last month, leaked footage emerged showing that corporate media knew so much about these crimes years previously. Discussing one of his accusers, ABC News anchor Amy Robach was caught on camera lambasting executives at her network for killing her investigations into the sex offender because of Epstein's connections. Like I just said, folks, I will never do that. I do not care who I put on blast. If you're involved in something scummy and I have the goods on you, I will run the story. Believe it. The clip was originally leaked to infamous right-wing troll. They don't need to say that. Why can't they just say James O'Keefe? Okay, who has a long history of producing bogus stories. No, I don't believe that. I challenge that. For a different time, I guess I'll challenge that, but not right now. But ABC employees, including Robach herself, have confirmed its authenticity. In the video, Robach complains, "I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with the Epstein complainant, Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who is Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story." Now, mind you, folks, this is ABC. They own Disney. They make their money on having children, their parents buy things, right? Basically exploiting children in that regard financially. How is there not an uproar over Disney? A listener of the show, Chad, brought up a really great point. Shout out to Chad, by the way. He brought up a really good point about all of this. How is Disney not completely and utterly in hot water? Disney should have to spin off ABC. There's no reason for Disney to be involved in the news business, in my opinion, anyway. Especially after this. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us in a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that it also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was implicated in it because of the planes. The planes is a reference to the celebrity attorney's frequent trips on Epstein's infamous private jet, which he used for trafficking. A visibly exasperated Robach continued, revealing the level of detail of her investigation. As far as Dershowitz, you know what, man? I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't believe Alan Dershowitz. He kept his underwear on. This dude is just as guilty as the rest of them, in my opinion. And the way he likes to sue people, I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to sue me. He'll be in for a rude awakening with that, though. Good luck. See you at Discovery, pal. But honestly, it's just my opinion. I don't have any evidence, obviously, but I think that if we believe Virginia Roberts about anything, we have to believe her about all of it. She told me everything. She had pictures, everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. So they convinced her to come out of hiding. They convinced her to talk to her, and then they quashed the story. How beautiful. Amy Robach, have you no honor? Have you no honor, ma'am? It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. What we had was unreal. So let's go back there, okay? She mentions they had Clinton, we had everything. Okay, what did you have on Clinton? Can we see the information? Can we see the evidence? Because I'll tell you this much right now. If you had it on Trump, it would already be out. And that's my problem with the media, folks. It's not that I'm defending Trump, because I really couldn't care less about the Trump situation. I really don't care about his reelection or any of that at this point. But what I do care about is the media being biased because it's bad for the country. Just tell the goddamn truth. Why is it so hard? Robach's comments about being pressured into killing the story by powerful people at ABC relied upon are a perfect example of the perils of access journalism. I was just talking about this, access journalism. In their influential book, Manufacturing Consent, The Political Economy of the Mass Media, Edward Herman and Noam Chomsky's a pretty depressing dude. You guys ever listen to this guy? Identified sourcing and flack as two of the 5 key filters that dictate what makes the news and what does not. By sourcing, Herman and Chomsky are referring to corporate media's reliance on powerful official sources, like politicians, celebrities, and corporations, to essentially subsidize them by providing them with free content, such as interviews, sound bites, statistics, and pictures. Journalists are therefore caught up in a symbiotic relationship with the powerful, where elite sources grant scoops in exchange for preferential treatment. The royal family, Robach claims, successfully used the influence it had, quashing the story by threatening to cut off access. Isn't that nice? What was I just saying, folks? Now, how can you trust them to do the right thing? How can you trust the legacy media to give you the truth? How can you trust them not to fail you? Why would you continue to give them your money? Follow independent journalism, folks. Independent journalists. That's where it's at. That's where the future is going. Nobody's controlling us. We have no editor telling us what to run. We run what we want, what our audience wants to hear. And that's the end of it. And that's the way of the future. There is a reason that YouTube is so crazy about their algorithms. There's a reason they show preferential treatment towards these bigger organizations. Just hop onto YouTube and listen to Tim Pool talk about it. It's a joke. It is an absolute joke. It is also easy for the powerful to generate flack. Negative responses to media content. Flack can take form of boycotts, angry phone calls, lawsuits, smear campaigns, and more. One alarming form of flack was the 2018 U.S. mail bombing attempt where a Trump supporter sent the bomb to CNN headquarters in response to its negative coverage of the president. They can't help themselves. They just can't help themselves. They have to throw in little shots at Trump. They have nothing to add about Trump with Epstein, so they'll throw in little shots. I mean, if we're going to talk about that, okay, then how about Hodgkinson, who was an ardent Bernie supporter who tried to gun down the whole entire Republican leadership at a baseball game? There's plenty to talk about on both sides, folks, but let's not do it. Let's not fall into their trap. Let them try and be divisive. We're united here on this podcast. We come from tons of different backgrounds. I've talked to so many of you who come from a completely different political background than I come from. But guess what? We're all united because we want justice in this case. And I hope what you get out of this is, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind about what they do politically, but what I am trying to point out is that you can't trust the media. Whatever you believe politically, you better get that information on your own. You better do that research, and you better spend the time that's necessary on these topics, or you will be lied to. That is a promise. Robach brought up Dershowitz, a famously litigious lawyer, as a reason for her silencing. But ABC could reasonably expect great resistance from many of those connected to Epstein. One more example of how stories scrutinizing the powerful are discouraged in the modern media landscape. Again, independent journalism is where it's at. We're fearless. Us independent journalists, we're a fearless group. Look at us. We have nobody protecting us. There's nobody with a bunch of money protecting us. We rely on our whatever small bit of sponsors we can get to sponsor our shows with the commercials, and we rely on our audiences. That's the lifeblood of what we do. I have never made a GoFundMe for anything in my life, including when my girlfriend was sick. But the only way to raise funding without going corporate and having somebody tell me what to produce is to look for help from the people that I'm providing the content to. And that is the way of the new wave of the future, because guess what? You folks control what goes on then, right? You're the one, you're paying the bills. You're the one saying, all right, we want to talk about this, this, and this. You can't reach out to Amy Robach and do that. But and I'm not just talking about me, you pick your independent journalist or your content creator, and every single one of them is easy to get in contact with. Every single one of them is receptive to talking. Because guess what? None of us are like the corporate media. I don't look at myself as some unaccessible journalist or anything like that. I'm just a normal person like everybody else, and no success or no failure will ever change that for me. But these politicians, they feel like they're above. I mean, these journalists, these legacy media journalists, they feel like they're above us, folks. They feel like they're part of the ruling class. They're all backslapping over steaks and wine with these politicians. How can we trust them? ABC News would later claim that it had never nixed the story, stating that at the time of Robach's comments, not all of our reporting met our standards to air, but we have never stopped investigating the story. Ever since, we've had a team on this investigation and substantial resources dedicated to it. That work has led to a 2-hour documentary and 6-part podcast that will air in the new year. Oh, a whole 6-part podcast, huh? So what are you going to do, rehash all of the old stuff? I'm on episode like 118 here, folks. The most extensive catalog of Jeffrey Epstein news out there, guaranteed. I've looked at all the other ones, and believe me, that does not mean the other podcasts aren't great. There's a ton of great podcasts out there. There are a ton of great podcasts on this topic. But that being said, none of them have the comprehensive library that we've built here. Former producer Ashley Bianco, who denies sharing the Robach tape with anyone outside of ABC News, was fired. After the video went viral, CBS News fired producer Ashley Bianco after ABC contacted them, asserting, possibly incorrectly, not possibly incorrectly, it was incorrectly. We know that Ignatus was the leaker. Somebody that's still at ABC, by the way. They haven't been able to find the leaker. That she had leaked the tape during her time working on Robach's show. Top executives at ABC are reportedly freaking out over the anonymous employee's identity, spending far more energy and resources trying to find the leaker than in investigating why it enabled a serial sexual predator to continue offending. Holy smokes, folks. Drop the mic, drop the phone, drop what you're doing. Salon is being critical of the legacy media. Hooray! Welcome to the party, Salon. I won't go as far to say as they've eaten the red pill, but at least they're doing a little bit of, holding people's feet to the fire, a little accountability work. Perhaps even more worryingly, corporate media rivals have largely not touched the story. Neither Robach's revelations nor Bianco's termination have been reported on by MSNBC. Well, listen, every other person MSNBC trots out is an ex-intelligence official. How can anyone believe what they're talking about on that network? That, of all the networks, is positively the worst and the biggest liars. Sorry, folks. I know some of you probably like that network. That network is absolute and utter garbage. It's like a tabloid network. Malcolm Nance and all of these ex-intelligence morons that they come trotting out. And you believe these people? These are the people you're going to believe? Not me. Sorry. Nearly a month after the video first leaked, thus the story of a major media outlet covering up crimes of a monster, with the only person to face any sanction being the alleged whistleblower, whom 2 outlets combined to punish, appears not to qualify as a newsworthy event to much of the press. And that's why you guys are all here. That is why you guys are all listening to this podcast. You have had enough of the mainstream media, and they're not providing you with the content that you desire. Indeed, Epstein's team managed to convince many supposedly reputable outlets, including the Huffington Post, 11/17/17, Forbes on 10/2/13, and National Review on 7/10/13, to publish puff pieces about him, New York Times, 7/21/19. Epstein pled guilty to charges connected to sexual abuse of minors in 2008. Forbes described him as one of the largest backers of cutting-edge science around the world, making no mention of his criminal past. The stated writer was paid $600 by a PR firm to attach his name to the prefab article and run it on the site. Perhaps the most blatantly unethical sponsorship practice there could be. So for $600, this journalist, this journalist was willing to sacrifice everything he has for a mere $600. These are the people that you're listening to, folks. These are the people that you're giving your money to. Come on. Don't do it. Get rid of all your subscriptions to all these paywall sites. You don't need any of that crap. I'm telling you right now, it's all, they're just going to lie to you. ABC's decision to spike the Epstein expose in order not to embarrass or implicate his powerful associates, thereby effectively enabling his crimes, is a perfect example of the danger of access journalism. Robach predicted, "There will come a day where we realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. Thanks to our corporate media system, that day was delayed by at least 3 years. I'll tell you what, that was a very good article by Salon. I really didn't have to interrupt too often and challenge the premise of the article. And I honestly agree. The corporate media is just as to blame for enabling as the people that were around him, folks. And I'm not going to shut up about it. I am not going to shut my mouth about it. I plan on holding them responsible as well. And the best way to do that is to stop reading their content. There's plenty of other places to get the news besides the New York Times, the Washington Post, etc., etc. It's all garbage. They're running the same crap over and over, and they are in bed with intelligence. That's a fact. And we all know how I feel about intelligence. These people are the most devious people in the country, perhaps in the history of the world. And I don't just mean in America. I'm talking about intelligence agencies worldwide. Nobody should have the power that those people have. But guess what? Even their friends in intelligence, even their friends in the media, even their political friends are not going to be able to protect them in the year 2020, because this is the year we turn the predators into the prey, folks. I hope that everybody has a great Sunday. If you're watching football, I hope your team wins. For me, it's about the only time I can guarantee that the Jets aren't going to embarrass me. That's when they're not playing. So I'll be watching the other crappy New York team with my dad, the New York Giants. If you would like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. And if you would like to support the show, you can do that via the GoFundMe link inside of the description box. I will be back this afternoon with a flashback article, and then, of course, back tonight for the daily drop. 71 straight days, folks, without a break. We don't take days off here on the Jeffrey Epstein Show. The news don't take a day off, so I don't take a day off. I'll talk to everybody later.